welcome. This is Gus Broman on ETV. You are watching the boys swim and dive virtual meet against Apple Valley. Thank you, ETV, who's going to be broadcasting this entire meet. We're really excited that the boys can compete. Apple Valley is our opponent, but you won't see them in the pool. We will be doing diving first this evening. Kind of exciting, a little bit different for diving. We're going to have Jacob Frost is going to be doing 11 dives, and the other divers will be doing 6. We'll add more about that a little bit later. They just introduced the coaches, Chris Morgan, 14-year experienced coach here at Eagan High School. His assistant is a longtime swimmer here and teacher in the district, Tyler Husko. Anthony Schmidt has been the assistant coach for 3 years, former swimmer at lacrosse. And the diving coach is quite the pedigree. Jason Bauman has officiated at ACC dive meets, his longtime coach, has coached Olympians, does commentating. This evening's official is Frank Gertner, whose daughters all swam at Visitation High School. So let's just pause and listen to the national anthem by Margie Broman. All right, thank you, Margie Broman, who sang the national anthem. She is the mother of Hans Broman, one of the captains, and wife of the ETV commentator. Always fun to hear her sing. I have a funny story on how she sang that the first time. It was a meet. She was timing in lane 1, and Chris Cairo could not get the CD player to function on the for the national anthem. He looked in a panic and is like, what do we do? What do we do? I pointed to Margie, and in desperation, Chris is like, please, please. And so for the very first time she ever sang the national anthem was here at Dakota Hills Middle School, and she nailed it. Incidentally, it was the year that, who was it that sang it at the Super Bowl and completely flubbed it up? But anyway, I'm not into singing, so she nailed it, and from then on, Chris Morgan has asked her to sing it every time, but she defers to the students who need the experience to sing and play, but due to COVID, we're not always getting those musicians in here to play that. So Jacob Frost will be diving tonight. We're going to watch a few of the warm-ups here. In diving, in order to compete at the state level, you need to have 11 dives in your quiver. In dual meets, you only do 6 dives. So every night we always see 6 dual meet. When they have diving invitationals, they do 11 dives. And since there are no invitationals this year, there are no chances to do 11 dives. And in order to get an All-American cut, you also have to do 11 dives. So Jason Bauman is giving Jacob Frost the opportunity to start practicing his 11 dive rotation tonight. And so the diving order will go as follows. It'll go Sam Johnson, Clark Amon Marshall, Jacob Frost, Owen Kipp, Gabe Frost, Jacob Frost. So Jacob will be diving third and fifth in every round, and so then that he'll be able to complete that. Once again, great sportsmanship by the junior diver, unfortunately, who is hurt. Alex Cahill had knee surgery from his football playing days, and so he will be doing the on-deck announcing for diving. So stepping in, it's good to have someone with experience announce diving. It is a little bit tricky. So that's why Jacob will be doing 11 dives tonight. Usually in a dual meet, you'll do diving after the 50 freestyle, but we're going to be doing it here.
First diver, Sam Johnson, 201A, back dive straight, 1.7.
Sam is going to be doing a back dive straight, 201A, 1.7. It's the second most difficult dive he'll do tonight. Good entry. All right, his total score is 17.85. Clark is up next.
Clark Marshall, 201A, back dive straight, 1.7.
Clark doing a 1.7 dive. This is his most difficult dive that you'll see him do this evening, except for his one that he does a 1.8. So technically it's the second most difficult dive. Every week it gets better and better, and the splash gets less and less. Nicely done by Clark. 20.4 is his total. Jacob's going to be doing his 1.5 inward dive pike, 1.5. This is by far his easiest dive that he'll be doing. What you want to do is kind of front load the easier dives when you have an 11 dive sheet, because you want to be able to make it into that finals round with 11 dives. And so they cut it off after 6. 7 and 7.5 the judges gave him. Because if you don't make it to finals and you mess up one of your hard dives, you wasted an opportunity. So that's why you usually start with some of the easier ones. Owen Kipp up now. Back dive tuck. Nice job. Little flick of the toes at the end. 21.38 is his total. Gabe is going to do a 201C back dive tuck, 1.5. Well, they're calling it a 1.1. It's a little bit different on my sheet, but regardless, it is his easiest dive that he's going to be doing this evening. Gabe is the younger brother of Jacob Frost. Gabe is sophomore. Okay, now we're going to be going back to Jacob here. But first, Gabe gets a 22.50.
Jacob Frost.
Jacob.
1.5 somersault pike, 2.4.
2.4 on this one. I always get nervous when they're facing the board. Even an experienced diver like Jacob always kind of freaks me out a little bit, but he'll be just fine, so no reason to worry. Good twist, good entry, excellent finish. Judges a 7.5 and a 6.5. Frank Gertner give him an entire point higher than Jason Bauman, the coach. We're starting in round 2 now. Sam's going to be doing a 1.5 difficulty here. It's good to see Sam on the board. Every week he's getting better and better. He's just really coming along. It's really nice to have a good, nice job. A little bit over rotation on the entry, but need to straighten up a little bit. And the reason I know that, I'm looking at Jason Bauman, the co-nat. Still waiting on the French judge. Frank can't quite push it in. There it is, 15.75. All right, Clark is going to do a 202C, back 1 somersault tuck, 1.5. So So it was 1.5. This is his easiest dive he's going to do this evening at a 1.5. Good rotation, good entry, nicely done. And the scores come in 4 and 3.5. Okay, this is Jacob now. He's going to be doing a 1.7 here. Very good rotation, good entry. A little bit angled there, but Gertner gives him a 7. Bauman gives him an 8. All right. Going over to Owen, he's going to be doing a 2.2. He's tied for his second hardest dive that Owen will do this evening. Oh, good rotation. Man, does he do that fast. Well done, Mr. Kip. Judges come in. Oh, they're even at 4.5, 4.5 at 29.7. Judges agree. I love it. Gabe Frost on the board, a 204C. Concentrating, but you don't want to overthink it. Twist it in. Little twist on the entry there. Bit of an angle. He knows it, but he's coming alive. 4 and a 4.5 at 28.05. So Jacob now is going to be doing a 2.6 difficulty. This is his most difficult dive in this first round of 6 for him. So this is one he's competed on before. Very nice and a great entry. A little bit of extra splash at the end. 6 and a 6.5. Gertner ups the coach by a half point there. Round 3 we're starting here with Sam. Sam's going to be doing his most difficult dive of the evening right now, a 1.8. This back dive, half twist straight, 52.11A. Boy, the twist is always a different dimension when you're facing the board. Kind of over-rotated a little bit at the waist. See what the judges say. 2 and a 3.5.
Next, Clark Marshall, 103C, forward 1.5.
Clark is doing a 1.5 somersault tuck, a 1.6. Nice entry there, good rotation. He's really coming alive there. 4.5 and a 3.5. Okay, Jacob's going to be doing a 51.32D.
Forward 1.5 somersault, 1 twist free, 2.2.
Jacob's going to be doing a 2.2 dive here. See how the twist goes here. Oh, very nice, good entry. Love that twist. Judges agree at 6.5. Good to see that. Bouncing over to Mr. Kip now, doing a 2.3. A lot happening in this dive. Back, a 1 somersault, 1.5 twist. That's why it adds up to a 2.3 here for difficulty. Oh, very nice. So the degree of difficulty is multiplied by the score of the judges. So if you want to do well at the end of the year, you need to be doing some difficult dives. So okay, this is an inward dive pike by Gabe Frost at 1.5. Gabe was also on the varsity soccer team this year. Played an outside midfield position. Quite a bit different sport than this here. Of course, one would say Brazilians are good divers in the sport of soccer. I say they're bad divers. But that's a good dive right there with a 5 and a 4.5. Say Jacob's going to be doing a 1.6 degree difficulty. So this is his second easiest dive in his quiver. This would round out his 6th dive. But this is in his usual 6 dive rotation, even though this is his 6th dive. His usual ones are in round 7 and round 11. Very nice entry and very nice form.
Scores
Gertner gives him a 7.5. And what's the other one? Oh, Bauman forgot. This is manual. 5.5. Whoa, I think he held out on Jacob because it wasn't electronic, but we'll put that behind us. Round 4, starting with Sam. See how Sam's doing here. So 1.4, one of his second easiest dive. Ooh, good tuck, was a little bit off kilter there, lost his line. I don't think the judges can see that line as good as ETV is showing it here. 5.5 and 3. Bauman not liking that dive by Mr. Johnson. Clark is coming up. Oh, 3.5. See, there is a little correction. Button got pushed a little bit, but yeah, way to make it difficult on the table. They're going to be struggling now. Try to fix that score manually. So as they're fixing that, a little back some history on some of these divers. 2 of them were on the team last year, both the Froster children, and 2 of them weren't. So actually 3 of them weren't. So it's interesting how the Frost boys choose the one diving board and then the other 3 use the other one. Anyone can use any diving board. We're equal opportunity board certified pool here. Both Frost kids were on the soccer team. Interesting statistic, Jacob Frost, as a diver, was captain of the soccer team along with Hans Broman, who was a captain of the soccer team. Hans is a swimmer, Jacob's the diver, but they were both on the pitch for the Wildcats last fall, both captains of this team. All right, back to enough of the nonsense talk, Gus Broman. We're back to diving with Clark, going to do a 104C forward 2 somersault tuck 2.2. His most difficult dive of the evening. Let's see if he can spin that 2 somersaults. There it is. Very nice. You know, you always get a little more extra splash when you're going in feet first instead of hands first, but boy, that was good rotation. 5 and a 4.5. So Jacob's doing his 7th dive. This is one that is in his 6th dive rotation. It's a 2.3 back 1.5 somersault pike. No need to get worried, even though he's facing the board. He's got this down. He's done this thousands of times. Very nice job. Good entry. His legs were a little bit separated. 6 and 5. It's good to see the coach harder on the kids and the official. He's striving for excellence at Mr. Bauman. Kip is going to be doing the 52-25D back 1 somersault 2.5 twist free 2.7. This is by far Kip's most difficult dive of tonight. Very nice, good entry, but that left arm was sticking out a little bit and made the extra splash, even though it was a straight entry. 5 and 4. All right, Gabe Frost is going to be doing a 2.2. This is tied for his most difficult dive of the evening. See, Gabe's kind of doing a zen. Starts it off, very nice. Good entry. I'm appreciating how you're not super close to the board and not making me nervous. 5.5, 4.5. Okay, Jacob's going to be doing a 1.7. This is new for him. This is in his 11 dive rotation. This is not in his 6 dive rotation. This is the first seen by Wildcat fans this year. Got caught off at an angle. Gertner loves it. Bauman drops a card, which is always fun. Oh, 5 and it wasn't really a 5.5, or did he just pick it up and it happened to say 5.5? You tell me. I'm with Gertner. That was a 7 dive. Sam starting round 5. What do I know? I don't know anything as much as Bauman does, but come on, Sam. It's a 1.2, his easiest dive tonight. Legs were a little bit separated coming in. Got some good yardage on the distance there. 4 and 4.5. Clark is up now. This is his tied for his most difficult dive of the evening. 1 somersault, a half twist, free. It's a 1.7 for Clark here. Good job, good entry. His eyes were kind of moving a little bit. It's like he kind of got lost with that twist in the air. 3 and 4 by the judges. Okay, Jacob Frost is going to be doing a 2.1, back 1.5 somersault, half twist free. It's a 2.1 dive. This is the first time Wildcats have seen this dive here. This is new for him. Not new in life, just new this year. Oh, that was nice. The way he twists his body just before it enters a pool is very impressive. The judges agree at the 6s. Well done. When you multiply those 2s with the 6s, that's how you rack up the scores. Kip is going to be doing a 401B inward dive pike, 1.5. Very nice. Good and clean. Judges agree at 5.5. That gives him a 24.5. Gabe's doing his 1.6 dive, a reverse 1 somersault tuck. That's a 1.6, right in the middle of difficulty for Gabe here. Started off at an angle, but he recovered nicely. 5 and 4.5, a total of 22.8. Jacob's going to be doing a 2.4. It's a reverse 1.5 somersault pike, 2.4. First time he's done this year. Clearly he's done it before. He's gone to state twice. Just couldn't get that last rotation done. Bauman gives him a 3.5. Frank gives him a 4. We're starting round 6. This is our last round of dives. This is a 1.6 dive forward, 1.5 somersault tuck. It's a 1.6. Got the Sam. Very nice. That's his cleanest entry of tonight. Cleanest entry on this dive, too, on that 103C. Nice work. 4.5 and a 4. Clark's going to be doing a forward 1 somersault tuck. It's a 1.6. Ooh, kind of lost the grip on his knees there. Legs kind of went wide. Marshall isn't going to be pleased with that, but got it off, 4.5 and a 4. This is Jacob's last dive of the evening. It's an inward 2 somersault tuck, 2.8. Easily his most difficult dive of the evening. That makes me nervous as he faces the board. But he's got this. He's done this millions of times. Thousands. Very nice. Very good rotation. He got his feet in. He came in clean and straight. 6.5 and 6. When you're multiplying that by 2.8, that's a ginormous score. Sorry we don't have that on the scoreboard, but in order to get it in the electronic system, they need to do it manually. Kip going right off the bat, a 104C forward 2 somersault tuck, 2.2. See what the judges think of that. 5.5 and a 5. Good consistency by Gertner and Bauman tonight. It's like they've been scoring all summer. I mean, I know Bauman does with the North Star diving. Okay, Gabe Frost is concluding diving tonight with a 1.4, 1.5 somersault pike, 1.7. Very good. A little bit on the over rotation coming in, but the rest of that was real nice. So that concludes diving for the evening. So we're going to have a 10-minute warm-up before the swimmers get going. So I want to take this moment to a little bit more about those 2 Froster children that were diving there. It's always good to see a brother combination. Little known fact is that there are 2 other Frosts lined up, Joe and Sam. We can't tell them what sports to play, but we can keep bringing them to the pool and encouraging them in their own way. That's how I got 3 boys into this. Kept bringing them. Finally, they're like, I don't want to watch. I'd rather dive, actually swim. So Sam is the next one in the lineup. He's in middle school right now. Joe's in a later elementary school, and then they tail with the cutest for us is Abby. So, but we're gonna. She's a hockey player, but we're gonna pause here. We have a special guest. We're excited to bring him on board here. This is Jackson Keller. So 1 second here as we switch microphones. All right, this is Gus Broman for ETV. We're back. We have a very special guest during this break here. We have Jackson Keller. Jackson is the defending champion, the 200 freestyle and the 500 freestyle for the state meet last year. As a Wildcat swimmer, he's looking good with his bucket cap on. He is not swimming high school at the current time, and let's find out why. Jackson, you're not on the team, you're not in the water. What you been up to?
So I've really been training with my team. So I've been going into college and talking with a bunch of colleges and stuff, and really they've said for me to get any athletic scholarship, I need to work on a bunch of different races, like, well, obviously 200 free and 500, but then also like 100 butterfly and 200 butterfly, which isn't even a high school race. So.
So what are you swimming in? So in other words, you're still swimming with your team. You don't mean your Wildcat team. You mean your club at Riptide, right? And so I assume that you're probably doing some 400 IM action, possibly the mile, that type of thing. What colleges have you visited in the fall so far?
Yeah, so really just working on a bunch of different types of things that aren't usually like worked on in high school, like you said, the mile and the 400 IM, just working on some of those longer things and just trying to work my endurance, especially like the mile is about like I can't really work on the mile. The longest thing in high school is the 500. So
what schools have you visited this fall?
This fall I was able to go visit University of Wisconsin-Madison, University of Notre Dame, Ohio State University, and I was actually able to go and fly down to Arizona State University, which was, all campuses were super nice.
That's awesome. And as you're looking at collegiate swimming, there's different ways to look at it. Either you go for the hardest team and the most competitive team, or you want to go on a team where you're going to be one of their top swimmers. What is it that you're looking for on a college swim team?
You know, really, it's just, for me, it's a mix of both. Just trying to look for a good team, but also somewhere where I can grow from someone who's like middle of the pack, sort of, to somebody who, like, when I'm a senior, I'll be somewhat of a leader on the team, and hopefully I can get to that at some point with the hard training.
So what is your, do you know what you would be majoring in yet? I know it's early, and I can't even believe I'm asking you this, but you brought up college, so I get to ask you that, because candidly, I think there's too much pressure on kids to decide what they want to do when they're 16, 17 years old. But obviously, at any moment, you could tear your rotator cuff and be done with swimming, so you're going to be going to that school for good, and your scholarship would still remain. So any academic pursuits or different avenues, whether it be 2-3 options as a major?
For me, the two that I've been looking at are business and finance. I'm not entirely sure. I really like math, so I'd be interested to see how those majors work out. I'll be getting into some classes my senior year, trying to get into some business, like intro to business and like some of those kind of classes, just trying to get that kind of stuff.
Sounds great. I can't tell you how fun this is. So I have never stood on the starting blocks. I've been watching high school swimming for over 13 years. There are 2 races I got to hear about from last year, races that will go down in folklore, but it's actually not folklore. They'll be legendary. The first one is the 400 Freestyle Relay in this pool against Rosemount. I know I remember it, and I know you do. Set up that meet for the fans here, and tell us what was going on as you guys were entering that race.
So obviously the scores were neck and neck as they were, and I was really just super hyped for it. My friends on the Rosemount team were racing. The 400 free relay was just building up to be a super hyped race, and it's me against one of my friends actually, who was a senior, and he got in, he swam, and I was quite a bit far behind, and just like going on the blocks, hearing everybody in the stands, I was just super hyped and ready to go. And I just get in the water and I feel like I feel like I'm not even swimming. I feel more like I'm flying. And it just felt great swimming the entire time. I felt like that race was one of my best races, and overall, like when I finished, the whole building was exploding with all sorts of noises, and it was just so exciting to swim and get to see like everybody in the stands just exploding with all sorts of enthusiasm.
Boy, that was the case. I actually had my niece and nephew and grandniece, and they're like, man, we've never been to a swim meet before. Are they always this exciting? Which was really fun to hear, because swimming is not really known as a spectator sport. And so it was really fun. I remember how hyped that was. I'm not going to ask you about my other favorite race. We're going to save that for the next home race. Because I want to keep doing this. This will be our tradition this year. If you're not in the pool with your boys, you got to be up here, because it's fun seeing them look up here and having them heckle you a little bit. So let me ask you a different question. So the 500 yard freestyle, you won that in the state meet last year. Tell our viewers what that's like. What is it that you prepare for? What is it that you look for in the splits, and how do you pace yourself? So many questions in one race.
Yeah, the 500 is really just, for me, about keeping pace. First 100, I usually try and go out a little bit faster, just trying to set the tone for all the other races. And then usually middle, like 300, I can usually hold my pace for a little bit there. And if I go behind, I'm pretty okay with that, but it's obviously not ideal. Usually last 100 is where I think I thrive the most, because I'm really competitive, and I really like to swim against other people, and I like being the underdog. So especially in the last 100, and you could see that at my state meet, where I was a little bit behind in that 500, and it just was, I thought that I had an upper edge being a little bit behind and knowing that I still had a little bit left in the tank, just to be able to go out there and put all of it in and win the race by like a little bit.
So is it hard to hold back? I mean, you see the guy next to you going ahead, so that's my first question. Second question is, we see the numbers. What is it that your teammates are doing and getting instructions from the coaches, and what do the numbers mean and how they move the numbers?
So for the first part, it's really just like, I know that they might slow down, and I know that I might speed up, so it's all about keeping that pace. And with the numbers, when they put it in, they're making sure that I'm staying at the pace that I want it to stay at, and making sure the time that I want it to get. And if they're shaking it up and down, for me, that usually means that I need to speed up. And if they're swaying it side to side, that means I'm going real slow, and I'm not going at all like the split that I want it to go. So I really pace.
So is there a slow down Jackson? Is that a thing with the numbers?
I don't think there is, really, but
That's why I always laugh at the numbers. It's always like, stay that or go faster. Stay that or go faster. No one's ever like holding me in the corral. So I always find that ironic. So is there a certain person that you like to do the numbers when you're swimming?
Last year for me, I liked Jonathan Chambers, one of the captains last year, because he was swimming for a long time, and it's usually I like to pick one of the older swimmers who knows how to do the counting. No hate to the younger swimmers, but I just feel like the older swimmers have more experience and they know like when to shake it and sway it and look at the coach. And I feel like for me, like that's like what I want is somebody who knows what they're doing.
So there's a lot of young swimmers that are watching this. So last question of the evening, what would you tell the younger swimmers right now who are 8, 9, 10 years old? Because it gets hard in the pool. Give some advice to those younger swimmers, Jackson Keller.
So really it's just work hard, make sure you go to practice. That's the biggest thing. Go to practice. Don't feel down when you go into practice. Going to practice is happy. You're supposed to be happy at practice. You're with your friends. You're having fun. Make sure you're having fun and working hard.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jackson. And will you come back and do this again for the rest of the meets?
Of course, I'd love to do that.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jackson. Take care. Yeah, that's right. Adam, I just switched. Test, test. All right, we're back at it. Man, what a treat that is, having a state champion come and visit with us. All right, we're in the 200 medley relay junior varsity. Lane 2, it's Riley McRoberts. Lane 4, Derek Bango. Lane 6, Tyler Burby. In the water now in lane 6, that is Lucas Arvidsson diving in, and Reese Heenis-Cook. And in lane 4, it's William Wynn. So they'll be doing the breaststroke. Boy, was it great having Jackson Keller. Look me up on Twitter. I'm at Ludafisk Lover. Feel free to send me any questions that you'd like us to ask Jackson Keller at the next break, next meet. Lane 4 diving in is Dabin Chong, the freshman. Lane 6, the senior Tyler Sitter. Lane 2, Ben Currens, the sophomore. These are the flyers. It's good to see Ben Currens doing the fly. I'm telling you, he got dragged out by Jackson Keller's younger brother, Thomas Keller, and Jacob Frost. And, you know, coming from a rookie swimmer to now he's doing the butterfly and the relays, who that? All right, lane 4, that's Alex Bango, the sophomore. He's queued up on the blocks in lane 6. That's Vidon Shrista, the 8th grader. In the water in lane 2, Kuldeep Ratchabatuni. These are your final swimmers of this event. Junior varsity coming in, and it's seated appropriately as lane 4 finishes first. It's always the flying V that they do, where you have the fastest swimmers in the middle lanes. Going back to the Jackson Keller, he was seated first after prelims, and he held on to that in both the 200-yard freestyle and the 400-yard freestyle. All right, now we're queuing up for the 200-yard medley relay varsity. They are mixing it up. This is not the usual lineup that we've seen in terms of the medley relay. It is the same suspects for the A relay, just doing different events, getting the kids experience and making sure they're versatile. Coach Morgan always pushing the guys for doing something different and improving on the weak strokes and strengthening the strong strokes. Lane 2, it's Miggy San Jose. Lane 4, it's Emilio Santoyo Lopez. Boy, it's been a while since I've seen that backstroke. I really like Emilio's backstroke. He has just really come alive so much as a freestyle that we don't see this backstroke as much. It's good to see the arm cadence going on. Watch as they finish here. Will New on the blocks in lane 2. Hans Broman in the water in lane 2. Interestingly enough, Broman is switching up his lineups for tonight. He's doing the 100 breast, so now he's doing the breast for the medley relay. He's kind of switching places with Chuck Steffen. Chuck Steffen usually doing the breaststroke. Will New in his sweet spot. He was a section swimmer in the breaststroke. Broman coming in, and he's throwing the fly over to Thomas Keller tonight. Thomas Keller, Jackson Keller's younger brother. I think Jackson has a lane 2 is Victor Santoyo Lopez. Jackson having an influence on Thomas. Thomas quit playing the world's most popular game of soccer to focus on swimming. It's coming alive in that butterfly here. He turns it over to Captain Chuck Steffen for a freestyle. Lane 2, that is the older Shrista, Roni, whose father is at the table, basically running this entire meet along with Shalon Lee Bango. Steffen coming in strong, the longer strokes. Incidentally, Steffen, real good individual in medley. His weakest stroke actually is his freestyle, kind of unusual because most of the freestyles are relays are freestyles. 101 minute 46:02. Not nearly where they're at in their 143s the other night, but that's what happens when you give kids opportunity. Kind of reminds me of youth soccer when you say, hey, who wants to play nets, and you sign it up. So good job by the guys given their R. So it's the junior varsity of the 200 free. The lanes here. Official Frank Gertner sends them off. Lane 2 is Riley McRoberts. He is a freshman. Lane 3, Tyler Sitter. Lane 4, Will Win. You know, looking at these guys, this is, you know, thinking back to what Jackson Keller said, how do you pace it? You don't want to go out too hot. If you're coming out too hot, you're going to fail mid-race here. So these guys are starting off strong, but usually that first one is a faster split. You ask why? Well, it's because you're starting off a diving, a starting block where you can get in the air. You don't have to swim. You're just basically flying in the air. As we're looking at this, we see William Wynn in the water in lane 4. When asked, hey, what is it that you do to get pepped up? He's like, eat some food, listen to music. And his favorite event is actually 100 breasts. So how you liking this 200 yard freestyle? So he looks up to his parents and his sister. So it's great to have William Wynn on the team this year. He is an 8th grader. He's in the JVs, but you know, this is how the program grows and grows. Have some young guys, see what these older guys are doing, exactly what Mr. Keller was telling us, having people to look forward, looking up to and push you through it. Tyler Sitter, we've talked about him quite a bit, how he works out with the Marines, and his favorite teacher is Mr. Cheddar. He's a math teacher. His favorite event is a 50 freestyle, so he gets to do that 50 free along with another 150 right now. One of Tyler's favorite things to do is visit his cousins in Arizona. Good job. Good finish there. Swimming it out, William Wynn at 220, and then lane 4 was actually William Wynn at 217, and 220.42 was Riley McRoberts, and then Mr. Sitter, the senior, finishes with a 230.49. So next up is going to be the 200 yard freestyle varsity. Yeah, back to Mr. Sitter. His favorite away meet is going to the U of M. U of M is ranked the 6th best pool in the nation. It's actually an engineering feat just looking at the fans above it. You ask what are some of the better pools? IUPUI, and that's Indiana University, Purdue University in Indianapolis. It's a world-class pool where Olympic trials have been held. Also, University of Texas is ranked high. All right, your varsity swimmers are off for that 200-yard freestyle. In lane 2, Alex Bango, the sophomore. In lane 3, the captain, Hans Broman, senior. Lane 4, Miguel San Jose, 9th grader. This is Broman's first time swimming the 200-yard freestyle. Usually he's doing the 2IM, which comes up right after this, so we'll see where he's at in his training. Hans Broman, one of his pre-meet traditions is getting Jersey Mike's or Subway with the boys. Favorite movie is Spider-Man Homecoming. When asked, what gives you inspiration for swimming, he says, my faith in God. All right, these guys are neck and neck. Mickey is really coming alive as an 8th grader. If I remember correctly, he was first in this event for the Wildcats last meet. So we'll see how he and Broman are battling it out. They're even right against the wall. And then we have another guy. Bango is coming in a little bit later. We got Broman, San Jose, neck and neck. Broman, a nice flip turn off the wall, using that big kick and streamline. That is good to see. You want to see if they can get out past the flags. Let's see if they can get out past it. Streamline, take that first stroke. Do you see how Broman, I think he took a stroke, whereas San Jose came up a little bit for air rather than go stroking right in. So that's the finish right there. Broman, 153.12. Miggy, San Jose, a 153.47. Boy, what a tight race. And then here he comes, Alex Bango coming in, touching nicely with a 2:07.27. That brings us to the 200-yard individual medley junior varsity. It's good to see those guys. Man, they're breathing hard. That's 8 lengths of the pool, all in. No rest for the weary. Get out of the pool, and ETV will kind of show what these guys do right after. They fall right into that diving well to cool down. Your heart rate gets up so much, you just got to bring that down to just start cooling down. That's why it's so nice to have a separate diving well. All right, your junior varsity swimmers are on the blocks. It's the individual and medley. Do you remember what stroke is first? Kuldeep Ratchabatuni in lane 2 will show you. It's the butterfly. In lane 3, it's Dabin Chong. And then in lane 4 is Neelan Ambalam. It's good to, I'll be honest, I haven't been to practices due to the COVID, so I do not know the strengths of these strokes as well as when I'm watching Stefan and Broman going after it. Good to see Kuldeep. He's coming in that butterfly. Well done. But it's Dabin Chong touching in first, transitioning to that backstroke. Now watch a backstroke. Remember, the backstroke flag's the only time that it comes in is in this backstroke. They count how many strokes they swim, then they turn, they get one pull when their face is in the water, and then they're back at it, flipping around. It's good to see them. And the closer you can get with a good kick, that's where you want to use that flip turn to your advantage. Dabin Chong, what does he do to prepare for a meet? We're looking in lane 3. What he does is he listens to music, he eats, and he prays. Post-taper crave is ribs. I think you could eat that in season. His favorite teacher at EHS is the Spanish teacher, Mr. Martinez. His secret talent is Fortnite. Every parrot's dream, right? All right, his favorite event is actually a 500-yard freestyle. which is, you know, in this event, this is mostly endurance. The 2IM is stretching your body, not only 200 yards, but in different events. That makes it even harder. Chong is getting into that last stroke, which is the freestyle. Hopefully he'll get under a 230 here. Ratchabatuni touches in, both hands on there to make it a legal turn. Neelan Ambalam, both hands on there. They check out with the official. Frank Gertner. Chong is coming in. He's going to make that under 230. Come on, get in there, touch in. It's going to be close. Oh, he does it. 226.96. Congratulations, Mr. Chong. Good job. All right, let's see where we're at. A few spectators. Oh, good to see Kuldeep coming in strong. No more breathing. Come on, finish it off. Oh, Kuldeep. Once you hit those flags, man, you don't need to breathe. Keep your head down. All right, and Neelan takes one last breath of stroke and then touches in. All right. It's a new setup, except for Harrison Bowie in this 200 IM for the varsity. By the way, there will be another break after the 50-yard freestyle for the diving break. All right, on the blocks is Will New, lane 2, lane 3, Roni Shrista, lane 4, Harrison Bowie. Harrison Bowie has really worked on his butterfly in the off season. He was straight distance last year, but my prediction will be Bowie will be coming out hot for the butterfly, but Roni and Will and Roni are expert breaststrokers. So Bowie's going to have to really get out there in this butterfly, and now it goes to the backstroke. Good touch in, good flip out. Ooh, all good clean turns. Bowie might have come in a little too tight on the wall, but he got a good push. See if he can keep this distance in this backstroke. He'll be needed more once it comes to the breaststroker because he's going against the number 2 and 3 breaststrokers on the Wildcat team here. Bowie's extending the lead a little bit. He's got a full body length. Shrista sticking in there in that backstroke. Bowie building that up. Might be enough. He has a nice touch on that backstroke. Goes right into the breaststroke. Good pull out. Okay, here comes Roni. All right, Roni already made up a quarter body length on just the pull out. Will New has quite a bit of ground to make up now. Bowie holding his own on this breaststroke. He says, yeah, I know I'm going against 2 and 3, but call me 4. So he's keeping that length plenty long. And once it gets to the freestyle, Bowie's just going to bust it out. Being the distance swimmer that he is, he's just going to do it. Good job, Mr. Bowie, on this breaststroke. Two-hand touch, flips in, and he's gone. Like to see Bowie get under a 210. We'll see if that's possible. That is stretching it, but we'll see. Taking some breaths. He's got the lope going. Nice little sneak of breath without taking that full stroke so he can get that further streamline. He wanted to do, he's 2.8, 2.9. I think he's going to go sub 215, which is a solid time for him for the first year. 213.02. Nice time, Mr. Bowie. All right, 219.34 for Roni Shrista. And then, wow, Will New really kicked it in lane 2 is 221.05. So your finishers were Harrison Bowie, 213. Then it went to Roni Shrista, 219.34, 221.05. All right, what do we got now? It's the JV splash and dash down and back. Breathing's optional. These guys are just dive in, touch a wall, come right back. All lanes are filled. Carson Rivard has the number 1 seed spot here. The freshman in lane 3. Tyler Burby, also a freshman in lane 4. Those are the two that will be finishing strong. Lane 1, though, is Reese Heenis Cook. Lane 2, Beast Currens. Lane 3, Carson Rivard. Lane 4, Tyler Burby. Lane 5, Kuldeep Ratchabatuni. Lane 6, Lucas Hanna. Good to hear his name. Last week he was hugging lane 1. This week he's in lane 6. Race is in the middle. Tyler Burby is coming out in a splash. Rivard coming in right behind him. Nicely done. 26-23 for Burby. 26-85 for Rivard. Third. Oh my goodness, that is outside smoke. Reese Heenis Cook from lane 1. 26-85. Nicely done in second. I love it when there's a tie. How often do you get 1/100th of a second, but that's what we had today. Outside smoke, tied for second place. All right, these are your varsity swimmers on the blocks right now. Lane 2, Lucas Arvidsson. Lane 3, Chuck Steffen. Lane 4, Johnny Mezaritsky. I love this. You have 4. Mezaritsky's traditionally a 500 and a 200. He's doing a 50 down and back. Steffen have not seen him do a 50-yard freestyle either this year. We'll see. No one's going to go sub 23 like last week with Santoyo Lopez. We got a 24:45. That's by Chuck Steffen. And then lane 4, we have Johnny Mezaritsky with a 25:68, and then a 25:75 with Lucas Arvidsson, the brother of Mitch Arvidsson. So we have a very special treat tonight. Not only did we have a state champion in the 200-yard freestyle and the 500-yard freestyle up in the booth tonight, who is a current EHS student, but tonight we actually have an alum who came up to say a few words and in the booth. It's Anders Broman, so we'll All right. Well, for the break here, we have Anders Broman here. He's a 5-year letter winner here at Eagan High School. Anders, when you were swimming for the Wildcats, what were your favorite and best events?
So I started off freshman and sophomore year and 8th grade year swimming the 500. And then junior and senior year kind of went over to the 50 and the 100. So I'd say my favorite event would be the 50 and the 100 just because it's shorter.
All right. Yeah, just in and out. So we see these 50s that are lined up. We see them go and get done. And, you know, we talk a lot that freestyle is kind of the primary stroke here because you have 2 relay races that are the 2 free relay and the 4 free relay. So tell me, how do you swim a 50 free compared to a 100 free relay? What is the difference in the start if you're the second, third, or fourth swimmer, and what's the strategy there?
So I guess it depends on if you're going first or second. First, you do a block start, and then second, you do a relay start. I personally like doing the relay start better just because you can run on the block a little bit more and gives you a faster start. So technically, the first guy tends to have the slowest time, and then they like to finish with the fastest guy at the end. And the relay starts tend to be quicker than the block starts.
So you say a relay start, so I know what that means by the sound of it, but tell me what that really means. I see some guys kind of leaning forward, some guys almost taking a step or two. Tell me the different variations of a relay start.
Yeah, so there's a different couple variations of a relay start. Usually if the block has a triangle, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Some teams tend to put the triangle in the middle and start with their back foot behind and use the triangle to push off of. We used to have flat blocks, so a lot of it would just be a straight up run off the block. But now you're starting to see these blocks with triangles on them instead. So teams kind of find their way to use it. A lot of people put it at the far back of it and far back side of the block and try to not use it as much. And some people put it in the middle, which tends to be a little bit more tricky and needs a little bit more technique.
So if our archives tell us correctly, you competed at least 2 years on a state relay team, 2 different years. So what is it that the coach does in preparation for the relay starts to make sure that you don't DQ? I assume that that's something that you practice. It isn't just like, oh, hey, try to get it as close as possible. Tell us about practicing for relay starts.
So yeah, coming up to the state meet, they want to practice the transition from swimmer to swimmer a hefty amount just to make sure that they get it on spot. Before I came to Eagan, they had a few big DQs on relay starts, so it was always critical to leave after the guy touched the wall, which if you leave before, you get disqualified. So kind of timing when the guy's coming in, how many strokes he has left. And that also comes down to the swimmer in the water on not short stroking the guy on the block and making sure that it's a clean cut finish for the guy on the block so he knows exactly when your fingers are going to touch the wall.
You can tell by my physique I've never been on the blocks, but I assume it's obvious that you're not waiting till they touch the wall. So about how far away are they before you start your run or your jog for that relay start?
I would say their hand is just coming over the end of the black line there, and they're about to start finishing up that last jab at the wall before you're starting to run off the block. It all kind of happens in a split second, but that'd be about where it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for those insights. So many of our viewers have never raced in a swim meet before, so it's just a delight to have an experienced, a 5-year award letter winner here, state experience swimmer Anders Broman. So thanks for your time. Now we're going to come on over for the 100-yard butterfly junior varsity. All right, it's a junior varsity butterfly, 100 yards. I apologize. We're going straight to varsity, folks. There is no junior varsity heat. Your lane 2, Dobin Chong. Lane 3, Thomas Keller. Lane 4, Johnny Mezaritsky. Boy, it's good to see Johnny swimming just different strokes tonight. Usually the 500, 200 are Keller coming out hot. Boy, let's see his stroke cadence on that wall. Ooh, just a little bit off. Had to glide in more than he'd really want. His stroke count is a little bit different. Nice turn by Johnny Mezaretsky there. Chong had a very nice turn as well. Let's see Keller. Keller, much better turn there. See, it's really hard because you're either a yard off or a half yard in on this butterfly. It's hard to measure this with that stroke cadence. Well, let's see, he's going to get under a minute. Yes, he does. It's a 58.88 for Mr. Thomas Keller. Your second finisher is going to be Dobin Chong in lane 2, coming in with a 106.72. Mezaritsky in lane 3, 112.89. All right, good race, boys. Now we're going straight. This is going to be a quick meet, not having a junior varsity heat there, nor do we have a 500 one. Oh, my apologies. There is a 500-yard junior varsity. We're going to see. I have a couple more questions for Anders Broman, kind of on the pedigree of Chris Morgan. We'll be chatting with him over the junior varsity 500. But right now, we are going straight into the 100-yard freestyle junior varsity. All right. Lane 2 is Lucas Hanna, is what it says. And lane 3, Derek Bango. Lane 4, Ben Currens. Boy, is Ben getting a lot of water time tonight. I'm telling you, this guy is really turning it on. Derek Bango coming out hot. Wow, that is a nice split time to 25.81. Wouldn't guess that this is a JV heat. But truth be told, any other team in the conference, that might be a varsity time right there for the flip turn there. These are solid times for Bango. All right, and there's a finish, gliding in nicely. 53.20, that is a really solid time. Wow. What in the world is he doing in JV? Coach Morgan, you got a promotion coming here. Ben Currens finishes off with a 107.38. And then 110.11. All right. Oh, no. All right, we're queuing up for the varsity here. Varsity, it's Bowie's going to be doing the 100 here tonight, along with Roni Shrista. Roni's going to be in the middle lane. Harrison Bowie in lane 4. Roni, as he's getting on the box. Post meet crave is ramen for Roni.
Yard Freestyle Varsity.
Right, the varsity boys are on the blocks. Lane 2, it's Victor Santoyo Lopez. Lane 3, Roni Shrista. Lane 4, Harrison Bowie. I'd be guessing that lane 2 will be touching in first on this, but we'll see what happens. Roni, when asked in lane 3, what's your pre-meet tradition? Eating food, hanging out with the team. From what other guys said, it's probably Subway or Jersey Mike's. Boy, you know what I'd love to hear Roni Shrista, lane 3, playing the piano. That's a secret talent of his. His favorite event is a 100-yard breaststroke. Look at these guys. Oh, my Lanta. It's as if they train with one another. Flip turns, all of them, neck and neck. This is hot. This is what you want to see, some racing. Boy, it's so hard when you don't have another team, but when you have teammates that are within a arm length of you, this is good. Harrison Bowie touching it first with a 54.97. Shrista with the 55.54. And in third place is lane 2, Victor Santoyo Lopez. So we're going to go to break here. And we're going to touch base here with Anders Broman, the alum of the Eagan Swim and Dive program, with a couple more questions, this time more related to Coach Morgan here. All right, we're back here again with Anders Broman, 5-time letter winner of Eagan High School. He was a multi-sport athlete. He was a all-conference soccer player when he was a Wildcat here. Also a club swimmer, but many times if you're a swimmer, you're club swimming and no other sports. So please tell us, Anders, what it was like to be on the Eagan Wildcat swim team with so many club swimmers. And how many of your teammates were multi-sport athletes?
So yeah, I was one of many swimmers that swam on Blackline Aquatics as well as the Eagan High School swim team. There was also a few multi-sport athletes on the boys varsity swim and dive team. One of the most well-known was Sam Zenner. I swam with him my 8th grade year and freshman year, and he was starting quarterback for the Wildcats for I think it was 4 years. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of other multi-sport athletes out there.
So speaking of multi-sport, you're actually a multi-sport athlete within one sport, which is a triathlon. So I know that you had different goals your senior year of swimming, and you had a different training program. Tell us about that and what Chris Morgan did to help you out to meet your goals.
So yeah, Chris Morgan's an awesome head coach. He was very flexible with my schedule my senior year as I was training for Ironman triathlon down in Houston, Texas. So I had to split my time between swimming in the pool my senior year, running and biking to train for that. And so I would come in about 2 hours late, and Chris understood that that I wasn't just skipping practice, but I was actually putting in a lot of time running, and I would even skip about the last 2 hours of school to go run and then come to practice 2 hours late and then swim and then lift after with the boys.
All right. And how did the teammates feel about that? If you, because some of these practices are a grind, because currently right now the Eagan Wildcats are swimming 3.5 miles a day. I know that over Christmas break, which didn't exist this year, they swim 6 miles. So how were your teammates in accepting that if you were skipping out on practice like that?
Yeah, some of them, a couple of the first two or three times they started giving me crap for missing the first part of practice, but Coach Morgan eventually told them that they're welcome to skip the first 2 hours of practice if they want to run on the treadmill with me for 3 hours. So.
All right, yeah, so it was really great. I do know that Chris Morgan was following you on your Ironman time as you were completing that. And not going to lie, watching your stroke, your 500, your senior year is pretty awful. It looked like an open water stroke. Explain the difference between a competitive racing stroke for a freestyle and a triathlon open water stroke. What's the difference between that, Anders?
So there's a little bit difference between the I guess you can call it closed water and open water stroke. So the open water stroke tends to be a little bit more with your head out of the water, reaching over, kind of simulating, I guess, that there's waves you're trying to look up for a buoy that you're swimming at. Whereas in open water and a closed pool, it tends to be more streamlined and more, I guess, beautiful and more technique, to where you're trying to keep your head low and just get it out of the water just a bit so you can breathe, and then back in the water.
So we have 4 limbs that we're given as humans. So tell us what percent in a race like we're seeing tonight is arms versus legs, and then compare that, meaning is it 50-50 in this kind of racing? And then compare that to open water swimming for a triathlon. What's the percentage there? So first, closed water percentage.
So closed water percentage, I guess about 60% would be your legs and 40% would be your arms in closed water. And for open water, I would say it's probably close to flip-flopped, if not just 50-50.
And why is it? Why is it more arms in the triathlon open water swimming?
Well, in a triathlon, you got to save your legs for the last bike and swim, which tend to be the majority of it. You don't want to use your legs up for the first hour and then still have close to 6 to 10 hours left to use your legs.
Yeah, good point. When you're on a bike, you're not using your arms at all. So thanks for that insight, Anders Broman. Now back to the closed water racing. All right, we're back to racing here. This is the 500-yard freestyle junior varsity. I think this is, if you lose a bet, this is what you're swimming, the junior varsity 500. Lane 2, Bidan Shrista. Lane 3, Derek Bango. Lane 4, Carson Rivard. Special attention, we're so thankful for both of our guests tonight in the booth. First off, Jackson Keller, the state champion of the 200 and the 500. Look at the numbers so that you have the counters that are there. Right now, they're just solid. They just drop the number down and say you're on lap 3. I always laugh because for when they put down the first one, it's like, duh, I know. I just got down here. I just dove in the water. But those counters kind of messes with your mind when you're stretching it out over a course of 20 lengths of the pool. But So pay special attention. We are grateful for the athletic program here at Eagan High School. They partner very well with the Booster Club to provide one of the best facilities in the conference. And if you look at it, those are new Wildcat counters for math there. District 196 prides itself in academics, so they gave us some counters. And those are brand new ones. They actually say Wildcats on them. So we're grateful for that. And speaking of being grateful, we are grateful for Minnesota Orthodontics, a generous supporter of Eagan Swim and Dive. They actually bought the scoreboard for us that actually can do diving, scoring, and swimming at the same time. And we're grateful for the urgency room, huge sponsor of Eagan Swim and Dive. So checking back in with the JV race here. Remember what Jackson Keller said, you want to try to save some in the tank, so you don't want to go out as much as possible. Remember what Anders said regarding your legs versus your arms. You can see some of that in lane 3, Derek Bango. Look at those legs. They're going up, down, up, down, up, down, whereas his arms are more of a slower stroke. Looking at the head and the breathing, you want to stay as streamlined as possible. Barely turn your head, barely get your lips out of that water. Take that breath, put it back down, and then keep going. As opposed to if you're swimming in open water, you want to keep your head up every few strokes. And also you just want to make sure that you're not swimming into anyone's legs that's going to kick you in the nose or the face. So we're getting to the midway point of this race here. Bango's out 3/4 of a length of a pool, and then Vidal Shrista's in lane 2. Carson Rivard in lane 4. This is where it really gets to be tiring. You got to keep the legs moving a little bit. You know, back to kind of what Anders was saying in the outdoor swimming, you got to keep the legs moving some, because you don't want your body to be going across the water at an angle. You want to be on top of that water, just skimming along. So if you watch the legs of these guys, they're always kicking a little bit. You want to see those feet at the top of the water. Otherwise, their body's creating too much of a drag. Speaking of a drag, and that is one of the mysteries and secrets of swimming. Coach Morgan just swims these guys yard after yard after yard. Right now, as I mentioned, 3.5 miles a day. It all comes down to that last meet, that section meet, that state meet. He's hitting your body hard, and then he tapers your body. What that means is you're not swimming as hard as you can. You're not putting in all those yards. Your body is resting, recouping, and re-energizing those muscles. And it lasts for about 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks. So instead of a 3-hour practice, you might be doing an 1.5 hours, and your body is just resting. Then, right before your final meet of the season, you are rested, and then that's when you shave your legs. Many of the guys shave their heads, and that's because they're trying to eliminate any drag whatsoever. Drag is bad. There is a guy who was on the team, Jonathan Chambers, that Jackson Keller mentioned his favorite counter. He would shave his body, and he was guaranteed to drop 11, 12 seconds at the section. He grabbed that point to turn that 7th section title. Look at him shaking the numbers down there. That means speed up, speed up, speed up. So he's really making sure that they're getting going. I liked how when I asked Jackson, what's the signal for slowing down? There isn't any. All right, Frank Gartner, the official, rings the bell, indicating that the leader has 1 lap to go to finish this race. And your leader for this is Derek Bango. Look at them shake those numbers, getting going, getting going, getting going. All right, the numbers, when you're all done, you get the bright orange bricks. Instead of a number, that means just go to the end and you're done. All right, the other 2 guys have 1 lap left. Nice flip turn there. Getting into it. Varsity swimmers are timing. They're the backup timers. And he finishes in with a 5:55.75. Nice job, Derek Bango. That is good. All right. Let's see who's coming in next. All right, now we're seeing that kick. Almost saving too much in the tank for finishing so strong at the end here, but who am I to criticize Vedran Shrista because he's finishing a 500 race and I've never done one. Vedran's finishing with a 6:25.50 and a 6:28.89 for Carson Rivard. This brings us to the 500-yard freestyle varsity. We'll have them clear the pool. As Jackson mentioned, that they don't have any longer events than the 500-yard freestyle in high school. But as I mentioned, Jared Dawson was preparing for college one year, and he asked Coach Morgan challenged him to swim the 500-yard JV and then the 500-yard varsity, which he'd be getting on the blocks right now. All right. Varsity swimmers on the blocks. And Tyler Burby is in lane 2, the freshman. He is accompanied by Captain Chuck Steffen in lane 3. Lane 4, Emilio Santoyo Lopez. Emilio Santoyo Lopez, just an excellent 50 and 100 freestyler. You can see him holding back. Good discipline by Emilio. If this was a 50, he'd be first right now, but he's last because he wants to hold it in the tank for the last 400. All right, the black line is kind of their guide. You know, part of the secret of this race is also just staying in the middle of the lane, making sure you're swimming a 500, not a 550. Chuck Steffen, okay, what is your pre-meet tradition? We asked Captain Steffen. He said salad, stretch, 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 and always have music. When the swim season's done and he's done with taper and the last meet of the year's done, he's craving a Chick-fil-A milkshake. Favorite movie? The Notebook. You know, we talk about these kids that are student athletes, and they're always, you know, you have school, you have work, you have extracurricular, you have sports. You know, they juggle a lot, but literally, that is Chuck Steffen's secret qualities. He can juggle well. His favorite high school event is the 100 breast. All right, these guys are continuing on. Steffen is staying with Emilio Santoyo Lopez. You know, my apologies. I was thinking that it was Emilio Santoyo Lopez in lane 2, but really that is Emilio Santoyo Lopez in lane 4. So he is out early, and he's still leading Steffen by about a body length. He's going to try to hold that in. He is a sprinter. He's keeping his eye on Steffen, seeing where he's at. Burby, the freshman, is keeping up with these seniors, keeping on the same lap length. Good to see him hanging in there. Emilio Santoyo Lopez. What is his pre-meet tradition? He goes home after school, lies in bed, and then he goes and gets Sammy's with the boys. Once he's done with his final meet of the year, his post-taper crave is sushi. All right, let's see what the line numbers are saying. All right, they're shaking it for Steffen, saying get going. Captain Hans Broman is giving Emilio just stay put, not shaking it. If Emilio could stay at that pace, that is solid for him. Generally a sprinter. This is what I love seeing about Chris Morgan, letting these guys play different positions. Say it's not different positions, they're just swimming different events, but it is. I mean, it's kind of like giving having midfielders play forward, having forward play defense. If nothing else, you might not have a good time in this other event, but you sure have a good respect for these guys swimming the 500. All right, they're holding tight here. They're at the 13th. Let's see what the split is. Emilio touching in here. Oh, we're not getting splits of the scoreboard, so my apologies. I don't have my watch. Oh, yes, they are. Oh, Emilio just didn't hit it hard enough, but Stefan at least is giving us a split there of a 34-12. All right, and we know that's about the same as Emilio Santoyo Lopez, who's still a body length ahead of Stefan. Stefan, as mentioned, has been going to Wisconsin to keep in shape, so he'll be good that last 100. 33.51 there for Chuck Stefan. We're looking, this is 17, so we got a 75 to go. Who's going to get the bell? Who's going to get the bell? It's going to be Emilio Santoyo Lopez. Frank Gertner excited to use that bell. Frank Gertner, a great swim parent himself. Actually had 2 girls that swam on scholarship at Xavier University. Emilio gets a bell. Watch Emilio take off. You know he's been, but Chuck has been saving some in the tank. These guys are going to battle. They're going to battle. Back to Frank Gertner. All 3 girls swam at Black Line. I remember his youngest daughter, Laura. If that's not working, that's when the stopwatch comes into play. And Jackson Keller, I hope you're paying attention. He's showing his trigger thumb right now. All right, Mr. Morgan going over to talk to Frank Gertner, the starter, which is completely unrelated to that 500 we just saw, but regardless. Boy, wasn't it nice to get that airtime with that state champion, Jackson Keller. Fun story regarding the state meet last year. He was being interviewed by the Sun-Times, the local newspaper. It was right after he won the 500-yard freestyle, which we concluded here. And the order at the state meet is exactly the same as a dual meet. So right now we'll be swimming the 200-yard freestyle relay. So Jackson Keller's getting interviewed by the Sun-Times. Hans Broman, the 3rd swimmer of the 2 free, realizes we have a guy in the water. Jackson Keller is still talking to the press. He runs over to get Keller because, as you know, fine, they finished top 16 for that 2 free relay. But still, yet another great story to remember for a lifetime. All right, let's see if we can get some inside intel if Jackson Keller had the time on the stopwatch. I'm not sure if he did or not. Okay, we're lining up for the 2 free relay. A little bit of a pause. That'd be putting Mr. Keller on the spot a little too much. We won't do that. We'll just ask him next time he's in the booth for the next meet. Boy, we are appreciating ETV tonight, and Greg is the man of the night. You know, we actually have, I'm gonna interrupt Greg being the man of the night. We're bringing this extra starter over. This goes to show you how effective the Eagan Booster Club is. You know, you might have a starter. If it goes out in the middle of a meet, what do? Well, we always have a spare right there in the coach's closet for a situation just like this. You know, it gets a little cluttered at times, but when the machine goes out, and there's no bringing her back. So Chris Morgan hooking it up for Mr. Gertner there. We're just going to see if we're going to have this, because how often does one of these go out? All right, Anthony Schmidt has proven that the original one works just fine. He is a chemist. We need the science guys like that. So this also puts a little bit of stress on Shalone Lee Bango down there at the scorers table, who's running the Colorado tonight. Appreciate her work. Not only does she run the table, basically run every single swim meet, but she also is a treasurer for the Booster Club. Speaking of the treasurer of the Booster Club, that's why we always have a spare and ready to go. Mr. Morgan just setting that aside. Love that. We're all keyed up and ready to go. All right, Coach Morgan yelling over there. All right. Boy, it's good to have Greg from ETV here again tonight. He is doing 3 jobs. He's doing the producing, he's doing the camera work, and he's also running the microphones and the sounds. We're swapping sounds out left and right. Let Let's see if we can. One of my favorite signs. We live in an oversigned era. We'll see if Greg can get the sign to the right of Frank Gertner, the official, that says "Shallow water, no diving allowed." If you look at that, I mean, it is right there, and we are on the starting blocks, and there you have it: shallow water, no diving allowed. Yet every race is start with a dive. So, all right, we're switching back out. Panning back out, and we're going to have the 200 free relay junior varsity. Pay attention to the start. So take a look at the start. As Anders was telling us, we have the triangle here at Eagan. So this is a stop start, and that means this split will be slower than than if you start with the relay start. So as we learn more and more about the sport every week, as viewers watch these guys queued up. Carson Rivard is lane 2, Harrison Bowie in lane 4. But watch Jenny Mezaritsky, see if he's rocking. He sees that, he gets that jump. He's shifted his feet. Did you see that? He shifted his feet off that triangle to kind of get a mini jump on that, utilizing that relay start very well. So now in the water in lane 2 is Neelan Ambalam. Lane 4 is Johnny Mezaritsky. All right, we're going to see Roni Shrista on the box in lane 4. He's an experienced one. His right foot is behind the triangle. He puts it in front, gets that jump of a start. Okay, do you see how it was almost like a one triple jump there? That's an experienced swimmer. Roni's been swimming club swim since he's at least 8 years old. So relays are not foreign to him at all. So coming in, your last swimmer on the blocks is Jacob Frost. He's a diver. It'll be a solid start for him. He's not used to a relay start. He says, I'm a diver. I'm going to lock my feet in, and then I'll just use my soccer thighs and dive out. Lane 2, Vidon Trista in the water, a little bit deep there. Grabbed a couple oysters off the bottom, and he's back at it. I was a little bit hard on Jacob Frost, but I mean, when you have a diver that says, sure, I'll go down and back in a 50, we appreciate that. Tell he was a diver. He took a breath just before his last stroke. All right, we're coming in. Vidon Trista finishing off this relay. All right. All right, this will be fun as we watch that A relay now. We'll have a B relay in lane 2. Our A relay will be in lane 4. We're going to be wanting to watch what these starts are like as they're coming in. Remember what Anders said, that they're basically timing it you're in your departure as they hit that end of the black line there.
18, 200-yard freestyle relay varsity.
All right. All right, they're on the blocks. All right, the stable start is happening with lane 2, Victor Santoyo Lopez. Lane 4, that is Thomas Keller. See how these guys are coming. We'll see if we can get some splits. Clock is working, and we're getting some splits now. We'll see how this goes. All right. Last week, Thomas Keller logged a 23. This week, 23-24. 24.94 for Victor Santoyo Lopez. Will New in the water for lane 2. Lane 4, Lucas Arvidsson swimming on the A relay this evening. Lucas Arvidsson, the younger brother of Mitchell Arvidsson, who is a University of Iowa Hawkeye. On the blocks in lane 4 is Captain Hans Broman, and he times it, goes into that water. Do you see that movement of the feet? Broman coming up mid-pool, kicking hard. Look at that splash. Think about our closed water, open water conversation. It's all legs here, folks. The motor's in the back, the steering's in the front. See what these splits are looking like. Broman's coming in hot. His kick is strong. He shouldn't breathe again. It's just head down. There it is. 23.42. That's a decent time there for Mr. Broman. The relay start. All right, lane 2 at 25.40 for Derek Bango. In the water, your final swimmers. Lane 2 is Alex Bango, the back half of the Bango Bros, and he's coming in. Emilio Santoyo Lopez, what is his split tonight? We won't see it because it's the end of the race. 135.92. historically, Emilio will be the fastest 50 freestyler on this team. So good times there logged by the boys. Emilio, if he didn't win sections last year, he was second in sections. So be sure that you tune in for the next meet. We're going to have Jackson Keller up here in the booth again. We're going to ask him about 2 other races that he swam last year that will be memorable for many years to come. So this is bringing us to the 100-yard backstroke junior varsity. Back to our appreciation for Greg. Right now, ETV, they're here. They're in the gym for girls basketball. They're also at the Eagan Civic Arena for girls hockey. Boy, are we fortunate to have ETV in our community. I know Farmington is scrambling around trying to raise money to do Facebook videos of this. Meanwhile, we have professional staff like Greg here that is filming every single swim, every single dive. Thank you, ETV. Lane 2, Neelan Ambalam. Lane 3, Riley McRoberts. Lane 4, Tyler Sitter. Good to see Tyler. Look at that, the long arms. I coached Tyler. It was a U9 soccer team. He's really come along. I got to say, his backstroke has nothing to do with who coached him in soccer when he was 9. That is all him and Chris Morgan right there. All right, let's see how the turns go here. Tyler does a nice turn on his back, tucked in. Now he's in it. Oh, he does a little glance over. He's like, hey, Riley McRoberts, where are you? He lost a little bit of time, but Riley's hanging with him. Neelan Ambalam's also in the race. All right, the timed race. Ooh, Tyler turned on his front a little too early. See if Gertner gives a high sign for lane 4, if that was copacetic, or if Mr. Gertner just missed it. Tyler saving a mount for the back half. Let's see his finish, if he can go underwater. Not quite, little wiggle on top, but that's fine. There you go, Riley McRoberts finishes in. Good. Boy, is that fun to see Tyler Sitter do the backstroke. Haven't seen that before. Love this. Thank you, Chris Morgan, for the variety. Neelan Ambalam touching in as well. So we had a Sitter with a 1:11.66. We had 1:14.31 from Mr. McRoberts, and we had Neelan Ambalam with a 1:25.94. That brings us to the 100-yard backstroke varsity.
Event 20, 100-yard backstroke, varsity.
Your varsity swimmers for the backstroke this evening. It's Lucas Arvidsson, the senior. Lane 3, Miguel San Jose. Lane 4, Bidan Shrista. You have an 8th grader, a 9th grader, and 12th grader. There's your variety for the evening. Miggy, boy, it's fun to see this kid swim. His 200-yard freestyle tonight, real nice. Was right there neck and neck with Hans Broman. Here's a nice flip turn. All right, once again, we're looking at the backstrokes. Watch Miggy as he's getting into the wall here. Greg's got him in here. Look at that nice turn. Boy, it's like a one-arm freestyle, and then he just flips it and boom, off the wall. Nice streamline out past the flags. Miggy keeping a nice cadence. Power in the legs, good cadence in the arms. Watch him finish underwater, swoops in. 59.64. Nice job, Miss San Jose. You see those experienced swimmers will just do an underwater finish. Why do you do that? You can get a little bit quicker into that wall. Instead of taking one extra stroke, it's just a big stretch with your legs. You ask yourself, why do swimmers have the bodies that they do? You look at some of the abs of some of these guys. It's in the flip turn. If you think about it, if you're swimming 3.5 miles, that's basically 139 flip turns. 139 flip turns is like the hardest crunch you've never done, Mom and Dad, Grandpa and Grandma. So you say, hey, how do you get that body? You do flip turns. basically working an ab workout while you're doing the hardest event of your life. Right now, as Chris Morgan stated to me before the meet started, they're swimming 3.5 miles. Ask yourself, did you walk 3.5 miles today? All right, the 100-yard breaststroke junior varsity. Lane 2 is Reese Enos Cook. Lane 3, William Wen. Lane 4, Alex Bango. All right, watch these breaststrokers coming out, keeping that tuck. A lot of times you look at Alex Bango, he likes to do that up, down, get in the water back again. William Wen kind of stays a little bit lower. And the lowest swimmer here is Reese Enos Cook. Got to have 2 hands on the touch. And then it's that boom. Completely different kick than all 3 of the other strokes. This one doesn't work the abs quite as much as any of the other strokes. There is no dolphin kick. There's no flutter kick. Your legs are going out. You would think that it's hard on the knees when you look at it, but honestly, I've never heard. I had a son who has a Division I scholarship. Never heard of one knee injury for any of the breaststrokers. So obviously, there's enough variety. It's going to happen. Not going to happen. Alex Bango touching in with a 1:11.91. William Wen with a 1:13.75. And Reese Enos Cook with a 1:19.72. Nice job, Mr. Enos Cook, keeping it under a 1:20. Varsity breaststrokers are getting on the blocks. Two out of 3 of these varsity guys are a new slate tonight.
Event 22, 100-yard breaststroke, varsity.
This will be a fun one. You have Will New, who's a breaststroker. He swam it in sections last year. He's in lane 4. You have Captain Hans Broman, lane 3. He has not swum this event yet this year. Thomas Keller, who just switched out from a 2-sport athlete to 1 sport, is in lane 2. We'll see how this ends up. A good underwater here. Broman and Keller. Keller's got him by a fingernail. Broman speeding up his stroke cadence, knowing that Keller's right there. Let's see who has the best touch into the wall. They're both even. It's like they train together because they do. Keller had a little bit better pull out. Now they're bobbing their heads a little bit differently. Now it's like who's going to be touching in at the wall at the better cadence. Looks like it's going to be Keller. Broman has to do an extra glide. They're coming out. And then you have Will News doing a nice job. It is neck and neck between Broman and Keller. It's tough to see from this angle, but Greg will have the finish for us. Broman and Keller, it's all going to be in this touch. Will the stopwatch have to be used? It will not. Broman out touches it with a 1:06.75. Keller in with a 1:06.85. And Will New with a 1:09.67. Broman gives a big laugh because he knows that it's not his stroke. He knows it's not Keller's stroke. Oh, good job, guys. Clocks are still going. Good job, Mr. Thomas Keller. Good job, Broman. Probably the last time you'll see these boys swim in the breaststroke this year, so it's fun to see. Okay, this brings us to the last event of the evening. There'll be a junior varsity heat and a varsity heat for the 400-yard freestyle relay. As we're wrapping this up, Anders told us about some of the multi-sport athletes, Sam Zenner, Thomas Keller, different strokes for different folks. Thomas Keller forewent the soccer season this year to concentrate a little bit more on swimming. Back to Broman, Hans Broman, who was in lane 3. Family fun fact, Broman has been on the Eagan swim and dive team since That's, yeah, 2007. 2007. His brother was up here in the booth earlier on talking about Chris Morgan. Being Hans's dad, I look at Chris Morgan. He's on the medal stand for adult influence on my boys. I look at it, and during the, not gonna lie, during the winter months, he spends more time with my boys than I do. So we're so grateful for the principles that he's showing these kids. Lanes 2 and 4 on this 400-yard freestyle, junior varsity. Lane 2 is Carson Rivard. Lane 4, Dobbin Chong. Anders mentioned one of the multi-sport athletes is Sam Zenner, one of the most prolific athletes in Eagan High School history. Still is on the record board actually for swimming and for track. Also holds several records on the football team. Actually gave Chris Morgan a call 2 weeks ago to just check in. Sam Zenner is going to become a dad in the next month or so, and he appreciates the influence of Chris Morgan so much that he still calls and keeps in touch. Fortunately, during this COVID era, we were not able to have an alumni meet this year. Chris Morgan is quoted as saying it's his favorite day of the year. Said that for the last 3 years. On the blocks in lane 2 is Neelan Ambalam, but in the water in lane 4 is Reese Enos Cook. Last year we had an ice storm, so the alumni meet was canceled. This year COVID canceled it. So it's always good to see when you work as hard as Chris Morgan and you generate the gentlemen that this program has kicked out. The guys want to come back. Also, another event that was canceled this Hour of Power. Hour of Power is to raise awareness for fighting cancer. We had a great family involved in both the boys and the girls side. O'Keefe, Michaela O'Keefe was a captain on the girls side. Her brother swam, Garrett, on the boys side. Their father's name was Pat O'Keefe. He ended up getting throat cancer and passed away, and so the O'Keefe family has generously supplied a scholarship via the Eagan Foundation. More on that in a second here as we look on lane 4, William Wynn in the water, third swimmer. Lane 2 on the blocks is Kuldeep Rachabatuni. So the Hour of Power is where you go all out for 1 hour. So alumni are welcome back. The girls team is welcome to come, the boys team, and it's just 50s. You go down and back as fast as you can for 1 hour. You hope that a lot of people come so you don't have to be swimming every third lap. The O'Keefe family always comes and sets up a memorial for Pat. They are just invested in the program because they the impact that this program had on both of their kids, and they wanted to memorialize that with a scholarship via the Eagan Foundation. So every year there's a scholarship award winner for both on the girls' side and on the boys' side. One is sponsored by the Booster Club. One is supported by the O'Keefe family. In the water in lane 4, that is Ben Currens. So they switch off, and so it's a generous scholarship, and it's the way that the O'Keefe family continues to provide to the program. And actually the Mums fundraiser in the fall is named after Lucky Pat O'Keefe. Right in the water is lane 2 is Lucas Hanna. Okay, we're seeing Ben Currens touching in one last time. He has a 50 to go, and then he can have Jersey Mike's after the meet. Paid for by the Booster Club. Thank you to the Urgency Room and Minnesota Orthodontics, generous supporters to help provide food for these student athletes. Booster Club also provides a strength and conditioning coach. In addition to swimming, there's weights. Unfortunately, the weight room hasn't been open. Coach Gage of the wrestling team has not opened it up yet for the swim team. All right, touching in. Nice job. Way to finish strong, Ben Currens. He swam a lot of yards tonight. Boy, he'll be ready for a Jersey Mike's. All right, Lucas Hanna coming in hot. Look at the legs moving. All right. No more breathing, Lucas. You're done. All right, there you go. Comes into the wall, touch in for the 4:29.33. This brings us to the final race of the evening, the 400 freestyle relay varsity. Different lineup for the 4 free than last race.
400-yard freestyle relay varsity.
All right, Mezaretsky. Good to see him out there. He's got quite the yards tonight. Actually fewer than usual. He's usually in the 500, but lane 2 is Johnny Mezaretsky. Lane 4, Miguel San Jose.
Harrison Bowie. Tyler Burby. And Tyler Sitter.
All right, it's good to see the captains are down there cheering on. Usually in a real meet, a dual meet, this place is rocking and loud as can go. So what you're going to see is these senior guys cheering them on, trying to extend the tradition of loud and proud. Let's go. Usually hear the chanting, "Go Big Blue, go Big Blue." All right, they're yelling. They're trying to bring them home here. Miguel San Jose coming in. All right, on the blocks in lane 4, that's Chuck Steffen in the water. Lane 2 is Harrison Bowie. Cheering on the end is Roni Shrista and Hans Broman, all masked up. Lane 2 is Jacob Frost and Lucas Arvidsson. All right, let's see if we can get some splits here on these clocks. I'll be reading those off to you. Steffen touches in. Nope. Yeah, 25.72. 25.72, and then it's a 25.66 there for Harrison Bowie. All right. Coming in. Let's see here. It's true. All right, let's see what the split is for Steffen and Lane. 27.68 and a 28.86. All right, in the water now in lane 4. That is Victor Santoyo Lopez. Lane 2 is Tyler Burby. It's another bro relay. The last 2 swimmers in lane 4 for the A relay are Victor Santoyo Lopez and then Emilio Santoyo Lopez. All right, a 26.01 for Victor in lane 4. Burby at 27.10. Lane 2. Remember that first always going to be faster because they're diving off the starting blocks. All right. Lane 4, Emilio Santoyo Lopez in the water. 29.21 for Victor on that last split. And it was a 30.16 for Tyler Burby. So in the water in lane 2 is Tyler Sitter. So there he goes. Seeing his mom on the phone, I want to tell her son's in lane 2. Patty's a great supporter at Eagan Swim and Dive. All right, that was a 25.48. That's a nice time, Emilio. Sitter coming in with a 29.51. Swimming the back half here. All right, we won't get that final split here at all, but we will get the final time. It's a 3:36.11. And then Sitter's coming in strong. All right. Don't breathe, Tyler. There you go. Very nice. Comes in. Well, that concludes our swim meet. We do not have a score, but it was great to see some great swims and some great work off the boards. We're grateful for Frank Gertner, and we're so grateful for Greg being here, being the utility knife here on ETV. Special shout out to our guests after the diving break. That was Jackson Keller, and we're grateful for Anders Broman stopping by the booth as well. So we'll see you next week for the next swim and dive meet. And for now, thank you for supporting Eagan Swim and Dive. This is Gus Browen for ETV.